You're listening to NacChat with Amy Mahaffey, straight from the city of Nacogdoches, where we chat all things Nac. We make any topic fun, and I'll take you behind the scenes of the oldest town in Texas. Welcome back, listeners. We are here with Mr. Jim Jeffers, city manager in the city of Nacogdoches, and we are taping part 4 today. And we've kind of had a really good talk in part 3. So those of you who listen, this is kind of the segue to that, and we're gonna talk about what it means to be involved in the city. So we were talking about the council, city council, and how they want. I didn't forget. I just had to look at my notes to make sure I was on the right track. We're talking about how you said something that I wanted to grab onto, which was they want to do the best for the community. And I'm probably going to ask a hard question, but I genuinely want to know your answer. I feel like when you go to council meetings sometimes, we always, you talk about conflict and issues, and you always hear the people that are upset the loudest or the people that are very excited about it the loudest. And there's all these people in the middle that might be indifferent to us, whatever the issue might be. And so me, as a marketing person, I feel like, we have to be relative, the theory of relativity. So the people that are very loud and upset about whatever the issue is, they have their prerogative, that's their right to come and speak to us, and we like to hear from those people because they often present alternate ideas and good ideas that we adopt and we take under consideration. And then there are people that are very excited about things that just want to offer support. And so do you ever get frustrated by some of that chatter that takes place, or do you embrace it and enjoy it?
I embrace it. And that's our democratic process, is these conflicting ideas. We have the right to be involved with dissent on an opinion that we don't like. We can write letters to the editor. We can post on the city's Facebook page. And these are all things that we may disagree with the action that the city has taken. And the city council pays attention to those things, but that's not the sole source of information. A lot of times, those that are most vocal think that they have captured all the attention of the council, but the council also has to take into consideration maybe the less vocal minority on a given issue, and also there's that silent majority right smack dab in the middle of it. And so once again, council has to go back and say, okay, what's best for the city? I think a lot of times people will come to a council meeting and believe that the council's already made up their minds. And, frankly, there's an element of truth to that. Councils don't make these decisions in a vacuum, and they're not sitting on top of a mountain waiting for wisdom to come upon them, and they bump into people in the grocery store and in the restaurant, and so they're getting all this information overload sometimes about, well, this is what I think that you should do. And they listen carefully. Some council members will say, hey, I agree with you, or some council members may say, hey, I don't agree with you. I think most of them just listen and take all that information in. But I think that all of them are careful to not express definitively what their opinion is until that public comment period is over. And the public comment before city council, I think there's a common misconception that, okay, if I have more people that show up that believe like I do, then that's what the city council is going to do. But once again, remember all those other inputs that the council receives. And so that public hearing, while it is formal and it's your opportunity to speak to the council as a group, it's not their sole source of information. And so council still tend to do what they think is best for the community at large. You get into a debate, Amy, about, okay, what is my job as an elected official? Am I supposed to do what the public wants me to do, or am I supposed to do what's best for the city? Mm-hmm. And, those can become a clash of ideas. But, who's in favor of higher taxes? I don't think anybody is. Now, you will find some people who say, I'm in favor of higher taxes if I know what I'm getting in return, but most of us say, no, I don't want higher taxes. But if higher taxes are an increase in water rates is important for the city to continue to deliver its end mission product, which is customer service, then that's what needs to be done. And so more times than not, councils have to do what is best for the city, short term and long term. You have to take into consideration long term implications of those actions. And it's important that you have elected officials that will do the right thing for the right reasons at the right time.
I feel like that isn't a common misconception, because I always hear them cite in council meetings, well, I got this many phone calls about this issue, or I was asked about this many times. I mean, I've heard them quantify the amount of time they've had to discuss something. I think maybe there's a balance of what's best versus how many people have I heard from. I mean, I don't know the philosophy about that.
There is, and quite frankly, as proud as I am of this council, and I'll be just as proud of the next council after the election, is that at times you will have individuals who will kind of break ranks and maybe vote knowing they will anticipate what the outcome will be, and if you'll watch them, they'll look and see how people are voting, and then they may vote no because it is less grief, and people may think that that's not a way to be an effective council member, but that's the reality of how it works. Council members are human beings, and they're going to do what they think is best for the community more times than not, but sometimes they may break from that rank because a large number of their constituents are opposed to something and they've heard from them extensively. And yes, you're absolutely right, and it's a great point. And you very graciously showed that I was wrong again, and that it is important to pay attention as to what is going on, and sometimes council members will vote with what their constituents may have vocalized to them.
I wasn't trying to tell you were wrong.
You do it all the time. This is the only thing different is that we're kind of on record here.
I feel like people that don't know your personality at home are going to think you're like annoyed with me when you're really just being facetious.
The only person who thinks that I'm annoyed with you is you.
Okay, fine, whatever.
Okay.
So what do you want to say to people? Because and I've talked about this before with several people I've interviewed, that I really had no idea what was going on at the city when I was hired, which is kind of frightening. And you would take me to lunch and you'd be like, so what are your ideas? And I would say, I don't understand what we do. I have no ideas at this point in time. I need a little more time to learn. And that is almost, now that I know, and embarrassing to me, because I realize my livelihood is to think about this every day. But what about the people at home that are just busy? I mean, I was just in grad school. I was working. I was busy. I had no knowledge of what was happening in the community I was living in, unless it affected me. And I don't know that that's always good, bad, or indifferent, but now I'm in a position where I have to engage the community, and I see those challenges because I was one of those people. And I think you have some interesting thoughts on why it's important to be involved and to know what's going on.
Well, you never were as uninformed as you claimed that you were. You're very bright. You're very talented. This is the point to where we say that Amy is blushing, but actually she's not. She's rolling her eyes at me. But that's part of the learning process that you would go through, is that you would punt on something because, hey, I want more information, instead of stepping out there. And that's exactly what the citizens need to do. Mm-hmm. You can take the first blush of an issue, which usually you get through the newspaper, and you will form an opinion. But there's more there. There are things that you can peel back and you can delve a little bit deeper if you're passionate about the issue. And I think it's unfortunate that many times that's the only time that we will engage, is if our ox is being off in a ditch and then we want something to be done about it. But every decision that the city council makes, for the most part, impacts our lives, and impacts our lives in the future for better or worse. And, what's so important about your job is that we used to complain why people don't come to city council meetings. But we've gotten past that, and now we're taking city council meetings to them so they can watch it on TV. We have podcasts now to talk about some of these issues. They can watch it live streaming or a playback later, and you don't even have to go to a council meeting. People, this is a small community, and that's one of the beauties of it, is that many people know a council member or two, and they're not bashful about talking to them. And I know all the council, as well as the executive staff, wish that we would hear more from the citizens. And that's part of the big job, the big task that you have been handled, and with your cast of thousands of interns, is that you're making, I think, some great progress, and that we're pushing out information about the city in so many different ways now than what we were doing before you came, that you can whet your appetite and get informed through all these different mediums and become engaged.
I feel like the misconception out there is that we really don't want it. I think people believe, and I've heard this, that yeah, you tell me you want me to come, and you tell us to get up in open forum and speak, and you want to hear from us on social media, and you want us to call you, but you're going to do what you want anyway. So what would you say to that accusation?
It's human nature.
Sure.
For people to feel that way, and just because someone doesn't agree with you doesn't mean that, well, you're going to do what you want to anyway. Once again, councils are fed a steady diet of information from staff, from the citizens, from those that are for or against, and that information, say in an open forum, or that information that's in your 3 minutes of testimony before the city council, it's just a little bitty snippet of what it is. But that's not a reason to disengage, and I think that that's one of the challenges that we have, is that just because we disagree that we're going to go away and we're going to be angry, and I'm going to take my toys and I'm going to go home and you can't play in my sandbox. We're adults, and we need to stay engaged if we love this community, and many of our citizens do with a passion, or most of our citizens do with a passion, and we want them to let us hear from them on a regular basis. And no, we're not going to do what each individual citizen wants each and every time, but that's impossible.
Sure.
Is that there's always going to be different opinions, and once again, that's one of the things that makes this experiment democracy actually work.
I love it. Well, with that, I think that's a really good place to kind of stop and sign off today. But first, I want to hear your favorite, funniest story of your experience as a city manager in any community. What's your favorite thing that you tell people if you're going to tell a funny anecdote?
Oh my. Let's see, I'll have to go to another community so that we don't offend anyone here. And this is my first job, and I'll go ahead and use her name because I'm not saying, well, if you listen to a previous episode, you'll find out where that was. But her name was Veda Biganowski. And Mrs. Biganowski was angry at the world, including her husband. She would call me and complain about her husband, Frank. But Mrs. Biganowski had the bad habit of calling me at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And that was a time when we had phones that were hung on the wall, that were down the hall. You had to get out of bed and you had to go and answer the phone. And so I trudged down there and answered the phone, and she said, "A dog's barking in my neighborhood and I want to know what you do about it." And click, she would hang up the phone. And then you couldn't go back to sleep because you were so aggravated with Mrs. Biganowski. And so I would call her during the day and said, "Mrs. Biganowski, don't do that. I have babies, blah, blah, blah." And yet she persisted in doing it. She would do it, say, once every other week. And I had a wise old city manager, now I are one. Well, maybe not the wise part. in the city of next to me who said, hey, set your alarm, get up at 2 o'clock in the morning and call Mrs. Biganowski up and ask her if that dog's barking. And I said, nah.
Yeah.
And I was amused with that, and it took 2 or 3 more phone calls for Mrs. Biganowski to get me up before I did that. But after I did it, she stopped. And so she learned that it wasn't pleasant to be awakened from a deep sleep and be told to go take care of a barking dog.
Well, there you go.
God bless Mrs. Biganowski.
Never a dull moment, huh?
Nah.
Well, thank you for visiting with us, and with that, we're going to sign off.
Thank you.
Well, as fun as that was, we are just so super excited to do our favorite segment with our favorite city planner, Larissa Philpott. Hey, Larissa.
What, Amy?
Guess what time it is?
What time is it?
It's time for the rumor mill. I love the rumor mill. Why do we always do yay?
Yay,
Like we know there's a sound effect.
I love it.
You know we get a sound effect.
I know, but it makes me happy because not a lot of people can go to social media and directly read about like how people think they're doing their jobs.
Oh, I know.
You know, like I can get on Facebook and say, "Oh, you know what? They like what we did or they didn't."
You know what you saying yay reminds me of?
What?
That podcast we listen to, Brain Candy. And she's always hitting the table. She gets excited and she bangs on the table, and then her husband like yells at her. He's like, "You've got to quit banging on the table."
Yeah. See, if you'd give me a soundboard so I could make sound effects, I wouldn't have to make my own with my own face.
Dan Taravella requested a light outside my office that says like recording.
Oh.
And so I have to get him a light and you a soundboard. I'm very high maintenance guest on this show. It's crazy.
We are.
Let's talk about some rumors. This is the best one I think we've done yet, because we're going to talk about what's coming to Nacogdoches.
Which is what everybody always asks me.
It's crazy. That is the thing I see on Facebook the most, are people talking about, well, I heard this, and I heard that, and I heard that. And it's crazy because I had heard about something like, it's real life, people. My phone rings all the time. Every podcast, my phone rings.
See? We're busy.
Even when I send forward the phone, it rings once.
Well, maybe it was the last people that we responded to on social media that would call in and talk to us.
Yell at me. No.
We're going to do a call-in show maybe sometime.
That would be so fun.
We could do a Facebook Live maybe.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
sorry. Off topic.
Let's do rumor mill development in Nacogdoches.
Okay.
So, what's going in across from campus? We see dirt work happening. We see things going up. We see
across North Street
next to State Farm.
Yes, that is Chipotle.
Yay!
Yes, which people are so excited about. I'm excited about. Yes, I know I have to pay extra for guacamole. I get it, but it's worth it. It's been under construction, or not under construction, under development for a long time, and part of the reason why we can't respond sometimes when the rumor mill does start is those corporate offices don't want the city to announce their project until they are fully committed and they have the land under contract and all that good stuff, for all the reasons you would imagine. You know, they don't want their direct competitors moving in next door. They don't want the real estate deal to fall through. So yeah, Chipotle, we have been working with them for a long time, like 2 to 3 years, and it's finally going up. Should be open soon.
So remind me, isn't there like a theory about Chipotle and like it being an indicator of more retail and more restaurants coming?
Yeah.
What's up with that?
It's funny that thinking back to my environmental science days, it's like an indicator species.
Yeah.
Which means if there's a Chipotle in your town's healthy. And so other places will look at where there's Chipotles. It's kind of like they kind of cheat and they kind of copy off their neighbor's homework, and these other franchises say, okay, Chipotle took a risk and they located there, they're doing well, so we're going to locate there too. It's kind of like
they don't have to do market research, they just see where a Chipotle exists.
Yep.
And they go, well, if the economy in Nacogdoches can support that, then they can support us. So then we get new things.
Yep.
Cool. So exciting things coming down the pipe.
Exactly.
Cool. Okay, so let's go over to University Drive.
Okay.
Chicken Express.
It's remodeling.
The Remember Nacogdoches Win Facebook page has a bunch of pictures up right now of
good.
the construction.
Oh, that's fun.
And they're just remodeling, right?
They are. They've been in that building for a long time, and they really needed to remodel, and we're excited to see them reinvesting in the community and in that location. I think it's a great location for them.
Oh yeah.
So.
And they're remodeling for sure, not like Wendy's.
Correct. Correct. Yeah, that was kind of misleading. It's kind of false advertising for Wendy's.
So Wendy's has on their board closed for remodeled, but that's not necessarily true.
I mean, in a really, really technical sense, it could be true if you consider demolition of the building and a completely new restaurant locating in, or demolition of the existing building and location of a completely new restaurant.
As a remodel?
As a remodel, yeah, maybe.
What's going there, though? Tell our people. It's very exciting.
Panda Express.
Panda Express.
Yeah.
You know what cracks me up is I hear about this stuff, obviously working for the city, before some people do, and people will say, I heard, that's why we do the rumor mill, but I heard that there's going to be a Panda Express there. And I know I've talked to you, and I'm like, I'm not allowed to tell people this.
Yeah.
But then I get, like, kind of mad, because I'm like, well, where did you hear that? Because I'm not allowed to tell. So somebody's telling. It's not us.
Yeah.
It's so weird how that happens in a little town.
It is.
It's like one little leak somewhere.
Yeah, and, you know, we try to keep them under wraps, but there's so many people that work on all of these projects.
Yeah, that's true. Or like the construction company gets hired. And
right. And there's surveyors and engineers and realtors.
It's not as secret as I might think.
Right. We just don't want to ever be the ones to ruin a project for somebody.
Yeah.
Because then
the cart before the horse.
Yeah. Because then we would be, the city didn't let so-and-so come.
Yeah.
We don't want to do that.
And we all know that we don't let or not let people come to our town. So, okay. The other one, I saw some chatter on Remember Nacogdoches Win the other night about the old, what's the place? Mazzio's building. Yeah. And somebody said, I heard it was a Taco Casa, but obviously it's not going to be. And that's not necessarily true.
No, it is Taco Casa. The folks, and they're lovely, lovely people that own the Taco Casa in Lufkin, are renovating the old Mazzio's building on University Drive. They're doing pretty much just a cosmetic renovation. But, you know, they're folks just like you and me that, you know, I think they own just this one other restaurant in Lufkin. And so they maybe don't move as quickly as a gigantic, you know, corporation that owns hundreds of stores and has a fleet of construction contractors. So, yeah, they're still coming. They're just moving at, you know, a smaller speed than everybody wants, because we all want those tacos. The Taco Light from Taco Casa.
We love tacos.
So exciting.
We need more tacos.
Well, we've got Chipotle. We've got Taco Casa.
It's a good day in Nacogdoches, America.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that, let's get off the rumor mill. Awesome. Glad we set those straight, though, because those are hot topics on social media for sure.
If you hear of any rumors, hit us up on social media. Call us, email us.
And we'll spill the beans right here.
Yep.
All right. Thanks for visiting.
Bye.
Bye.